Emma hadn't been back in years. The house, once filled with warmth and life, now stood like a ghost at the end of the overgrown driveway. The October night was cold and silent, fog creeping through the air as her car headlights cut through the dark. The old house loomed ahead, its windows broken, paint peeling, and vines wrapping around it like a predator. There was something deeply unsettling about seeing the place again, but she had come here for answers. She needed to confront the past. The porch groaned under her weight as Emma stepped forward, her flashlight flickering to life, casting shaky shadows against the house's worn facade. The front door, weathered and weak, creaked as it opened, revealing the cold, damp air inside. The furniture was still there, covered in thick white sheets, dust hanging in the air like memories frozen in time. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past settle in her chest. Something wasn't right here. It hadn't been right since that summer long ago. Emma made her way to the living room, where the eerie tapping had always been the loudest. The room was large but empty, the furniture ghost-like under the sheets, cobwebs clinging to the walls. She stood in the middle of the room, her heart racing, ears straining for any sound. And then it came, a faint tapping, barely noticeable at first. She froze, listening. The tapping grew louder, clearer, coming from somewhere behind the walls, just like it had before. She stood motionless, her breath caught in her throat. The tapping continued, echoing through the room, but now it was accompanied by something far more chilling, a whisper. Soft at first, barely a murmur, but unmistakable. Emma, her name, spoken in a voice that wasn't quite human. She shined her flashlight toward the corner, but there was nothing there, just an old, faded painting on the wall. The room was empty, but she wasn't alone. Suddenly, the light flickered, and in the brief moment of darkness, she saw it, a tall, twisted figure standing just at the edge of the room, where the light couldn't quite reach. It didn't move, it didn't breathe, but it was there, watching her. The flashlight steadied, and the figure was gone. A cold shiver ran down her spine as a low, guttural growl reverberated from the walls. Whatever was here, it was far more dangerous than she had imagined. Panic set in. Emma bolted for the door, but before she could reach it, it slammed shut with a deafening crash. The house seemed to shudder, the air thick with an unnatural cold. She could feel something brushing past her, unseen but unmistakably present. The tapping had returned, louder and more erratic, coming from every direction now. She yanked at the door, her hands trembling, her heart pounding in her ears, but it wouldn't budge. The house had trapped her. With one final burst of desperation, she threw herself against the door, and it flew open. Emma stumbled onto the porch, gasping for breath, her heart hammering in her chest. The night air was icy and thick with fog, but she didn't care. She ran to her car, her hands shaking as she fumbled with the keys, her mind racing with fear. The headlights flickered on, and she sped down the driveway, not daring to look back. The house faded into the darkness behind her, but the terror of that night would never leave.